a city trembling on the edge of transformation, a restless, feverish melting pot of ambition, fear and faith. Narrow lanes clogged with the cries of hawkers, the stink of dung and smoke, the clang of forge and bell. Yet beneath the din lay the deeper rumble of a nation tearing at its own seams. King and Parliament stood locked in a dangerous waltz, their quarrel over power and conscience about to engulf the realm in civil war. Merchants whispered of profit and peril, trade with the colonies, the spice routes, even as plague crept through the alleys and starvation gnawed at the poor. Churches thundered with sermons of divine judgment, and every tavern corner brimmed with talk of prophecy and rebellion. Life was precarious, unforgiving, and charged with purpose. Men and women lived closer to death, yet perhaps closer to meaning. Welcome to London in 1640, a tour of the city based on the drawings of Wenceslaus Hollar. From the tower of Southbank Cathedral, the Czech artist gazed across the Thames and captured what no painter before him had achieved: a single, sweeping vision of the entire city, stretching 9 feet across copper plates. From Westminster's Gothic spires in the west to the tower's grim stone walls in the east, the whole restless expanse lay bare. The river curved like a serpent through the scene, thick with wherries and barges, its waters dark with the city's refuse, yet alive with commerce and motion. On the north bank rose the jagged skyline, medieval St. Paul's, its spire long gone, Guildhall, the Royal Exchange, and a forest of church towers, each competing to pierce the smoke-thickened sky. In 1640, London Bridge was no mere crossing. It was an early modern hybrid of bustling marketplace and precarious housing, an architectural marvel of chaos and ingenuity. Crowded houses leaned over the water with rooftops almost touching. Shops stacked 5 stories high, each floor jutting further over the Thames, until the uppermost rooms clasped hands with their twins opposite, creating a tunnel of timber and plaster and smoke. By day, the crush of carts and bodies never ceased. Goldsmiths, booksellers, tailors and cutlers hawked their wares from windows that overhung the current. Farmers drove livestock across the narrow span, dodging carriages and riders on horseback, while the Thames rushed through 19 stone arches below. Its southern gate bore the grim display of traitors' heads, mounted on pikes, weathered by wind and rain. A macabre reminder that this was not merely a bridge, but a threshold between the city's order and its shadows. South of the river, around the Globe Theatre and the bear-baiting pit of Southwark, London shared its civility and bared its appetite for spectacle. The air was thick, heavy with the scents of ale, mud, and the river's rot. There, the Thames carried refuse and the cries of the desperate, and street urchins darting between stalls. Taverns spilled drinkers into twisting lanes. Harlots called from doorways, their voices ringing over the clatter of carts and the stamping of hooves. It was a district of earth and sin, of vice and vitality, where London came to forget its conscience to trade its cares for a moment of thrill, of terror and taste, in every alley and crowded yard, its own wild, unbridled heart. In the 1640s, St. Paul's Cathedral still wore its medieval guise, vast, dark and weathered, long before Wren's dome reshaped the skyline. Its spire had collapsed a century past, struck by lightning and never rebuilt, leaving behind a truncated tower that rose nonetheless above the huddled rooftops, like a broken tooth in the city's jaw. Around its churchyard sprawled a maze of bookstalls and printers' shops, where pamphlets, sermons and seditious tracts passed hand to hand, feeding the city's restless mind. Puritans and royalists bought their ammunition here, words that would soon be backed by musket and pike. The yard buzzed with poets, parsons and plotters, each seeking to shape the realm through ink and rhetoric. Inside, gentlemen, beggars and preachers mingled beneath the vaulted gloom. Lawyers conducted business in the nave, merchants struck deals beneath the rose window, and pickpockets worked the crowds with practiced ease. St. Paul's was the city's moral and physical heart, a monument of faith and endurance, its stones darkened by smoke, yet stubbornly reaching toward heaven. Beyond the cathedral, the city proper throbbed with enterprise and ambition. The Royal Exchange, the Guildhall, Cheapside's markets, Fishmongers' Hall overlooking the river, and the labyrinth of alleys where craftsmen's guilds held sway over their ancient privileges. Metalworkers, clothiers, apothecaries, and scribes, each trade jealously guarding its mysteries. In just over 20 years, the cathedral and all that surrounded it would be consumed by the Great Fire of 1666, and the blueprint for the modern city of London would emerge from ash and memory. Westminster was the sober heart of English power, quieter and more ordered than the clamorous city to the east. To the left, the Palace of Westminster held the Commons and Lords, beneath hammer-beamed chambers where the fate of the realm was debated in velvet tones. In the centre, Westminster Hall hosted judicial and ceremonial events, while to the rear rose the Gothic towers of Westminster Abbey, where kings were crowned and buried in equal measure. In Palace Yard, lawyers, clerks, and messengers hurried between chambers, their black cloaks brushing the worn stone. Here, Westminster moved with measured gravity. The air carried smoke from hearths, the tang of ink and parchment, and the odour of horses. Clergy in surplices and merchants with ledgers moved in careful procession, a choreography of power and duty. Bells tolled from Westminster Abbey marking the hours, and carriages rattled across the yard carrying the wealthy or the condemned. Every step echoed with the weight of decisions, while outside, murmurs of unrest hinted at the political and military storm gathering. Across the city to the east, the Tower of London loomed grim and immutable above the river's bend, a fortress of stone and silence, its ancient walls steeped in the weight of centuries. To the common Londoner, it was both dread and symbol, the iron heart of royal authority, where whispers of treason ended in chains and the screams of the tortured were swallowed by stone. Yet within those same walls gleamed the crown jewels, tokens of divine monarchy in an age when such divinity was beginning to fracture. The tower stood like a warning carved in stone, a shadow of absolute power cast long across a city on the brink of revolution. Just east of Lambeth Palace, the Thames broadened into a quieter reach, where the clamour of the city softened into stillness. Here, where modern-day St. Thomas's Hospital now stands, low meadows ran down to the river, often silvered with floodwater after heavy rain, their grasses whispering beneath willows and alder. The air was softer, scented with river mud and wild mint. Herons stalked the shallows where the current slowed. A handful of cottages and gardens dotted the bank, home to boatmen and palace servants. It was a place of quiet reprieve, where the only sounds were the turning of the tide and the distant toll of the abbey bells drifting across the water. London in 1640 was restless, intoxicating, and unruly, a city of tradition, adventure, and violence, of religious zeal, poverty, and disease. In its shadowed alleys and along its bustling quays, markets and playhouses thrummed with commerce, curiosity, and dissent, while the abbey, the palaces, and the tower loomed above it all, asserting their weight and authority over the teeming city below. Every street and square vibrated with the tension of a nation edging towards civil war. And though 4 centuries divide that London from ours, its rhythm feels hauntingly familiar. A metropolis of greed and grace, of innovation and unrest, of bleakness and exhilaration, forever reinventing itself, and yet still the same London. If you enjoyed this journey through London, give the video a like and subscribe for more AI-guided walks through history. Until the next video, where we'll step into a whole new city.